G'day from beautiful Lancelin in Western Australia, and today I'm going to tell you all about what the drivers drove to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And it's quite remarkable that there was one make of car that 7 drivers drove and 1 driver walked to the track. That's very unusual. More in just a moment with the compliments of Ridge. Let's get straight into it with what the drivers drove to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And I'm going to start with the Red Bull drivers, who obviously had finished 1-2 in the race. But I think they finished well down in the placings when it came to road cars. Look at what they were driving. Ford Tauruses, a very ordinary looking car. Functional, I'm sure, but these are F1 drivers, and I would have expected something a little more flashy. What was Sergio Perez driving? He too was driving a Ford Taurus in brown. Oh, shocking colour. I found a rental company in Saudi that was offering these vehicles for 290 rials, about $77 a day. Now that's pretty cheap. Some of the races, the drivers are spending $250 to $500 a day for a suitable car to drive to the track. Next up, Charles Leclerc driving this Jeep 4x4 Laredo, black in colour. This has been superseded now. The Grand Cherokee Night Eagle is the new model. And where do they park these cars? Well, there's a bit of a hike if you were to park and walk. So what happens is the drivers are normally dropped at this gate. The trainer or whoever is driving the person in drives back to the car park, which is over here, and drops the car and then catches a golf buggy back to the swipe gates to go into the paddock. And like Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz was also driving a Jeep Laredo 4x4. And these two were relatively inexpensive cars when they came out. You didn't have to dig too deep into your wallet. Speaking of wallets, that's what I carry. Well, I used to, but now I'm carrying a Ridge from ridge.com. For someone that travels a lot, I reckon it's one of the best wallets I've ever seen. Sleek, you can fit up to 12 cards. Look, this is actually hard. By the way, the money goes in the back, right? It holds a little bit of cash, but this is what I love. You simply, bang, bring your cards up like that. And I won't show you the back of the card, but another one there. You can actually fit 12 of these in this wallet. It's actually expandable. It's a really nifty piece of kit. 30 different colours and styles, a lifetime warranty. You can test it for up to 90 days. If you don't like it, send it back for a full refund, although I don't see anyone not loving it. And to celebrate Ridge's 10th anniversary, if you order before March 26, you'll save 40%. Oh, and I nearly forgot. This is made with RFID blocking technology, so it protects you from digital pickpockets. Just click the link in the description to check out all their stock. Ridge.com. I love it. I mentioned before that there is one driver who walked to the track this race. Now that's very unusual outside of Baku, where everybody stays in one of 2 hotels and walks to the track. I'll get to that driver in just a minute. Let's go now to the Mercedes drivers with Lewis Hamilton in an S450, silver in colour. These are magnificent cars. They're hybrids. 3-litre turbocharged, 2.1 tonnes, so a heavy vehicle. Still does 0 to 105.1 seconds, which is pretty tidy, and they're worth around $125,000 in Saudi, according to one website I had a look at. And George Russell, exactly the same model, but in silver. And interestingly, they had drivers, local drivers, who sat in the car all day, and for a lot of the time that I went out there, they had the engine running because obviously the air conditioning was needed. Pierre Gasly was driving a BMW, a 730 Li. Silver in colour. Esteban Ocon was in a BMW 520i. This was the car driven by when I say car, it's actually the model, BMWs, driven by 7 drivers. Why were they so popular? I've no idea, but certainly more than a third of the field driving them says that they were very popular. And how do I know exactly who was driving who? Well, thankfully, in the driver's car park, every driver's parking spot is noted with their name, and that makes it so much easier for me to work out who's driving what. Lando Norris next, and as he likes to do, he was in a big 4-wheel drive, a Chevy Tahoe, silver in colour, and his teammate Oscar Piastri was indeed the driver who walked to the track. He was staying in a hotel close to the track. Now, it is unusual, as I mentioned before, to see a driver walking to the track, primarily because they come under so much pressure from selfie hunters, autograph hunters, and they tend to not be able to make any headway. But it wasn't an issue for Oscar and his trainer Kim Keedle, but they got to save some money on a hire car and on fuel. And what was the price of fuel in Saudi? 2.18 rials per litre. That's 87 cents a litre in Australia. And today, when I arrived back, it was around $1.99 a litre. So less than half price for fuel in that country. And if you come from Europe, you save even more money because it works out at about 53 euro cents a litre in Saudi. And in the Netherlands, you're paying probably 1.83 euros a litre. And Bahrain was even cheaper than that. Next up, Lance Stroll driving an Aston Martin DBX. You know that because every single race he drove a DBX. This one ended up out the front of my hotel, the Shangri-La, on a couple of evenings. Short drive to the track would be no more than 2 minutes if you got good traffic. And I must say, the Saudi traffic at night is crazy mad. And they've got this system of U-turns, which means I think I saw one set of traffic lights in all of my driving around. Instead, you have to go sometimes 2, 3, 4 kilometres past where you want, do a U-turn and come back. Strange traffic setup, I thought. Two more BMW drivers, Yuki Tsunoda in a 730i, Nick de Vries driving a 520i. That's worth around $54,000 if bought in Saudi. And Alex Albon was also driving the exact same model of 520i with his teammate Logan Sargent in a 730Li. Who decides the cars the drivers drive? Well, mostly it's the teams, although sometimes I have noted that drivers can, in fact, request what they want. 4 more drivers to go, and let's go to Nico Hülkenberg, was driving a BMW 520i, white in colour, and he was the only driver, I think, to arrive at the far end gate into the paddock. That's obviously because his hospitality suite and garage were at that end of the paddock, and it was quicker for him. But otherwise, all the other drivers, 19 of them, arrived in at the other end swipe gates. Kevin Magnussen driving a Chevrolet Suburban, as he often does. These start around $65,000 in Saudi. That leaves us with just 2 drivers, one of them being Valtteri Bottas. He arrived in the Alfa Romeo Veloce. And Zhou Guanyu, I can't tell you what he drove. He's the only driver that I never saw a car parked in his car park, and I wasn't able to get any confirmation. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say maybe he too was in an Alfa of some sort. Are you going to the Australian Grand Prix or the Miami Grand Prix? If you are, I'm doing meet and greets at both those events. And if you like F1 memorabilia, you're going to love my brand new Fernando Alonso signed print offering. Just 50 available, and at the time of recording, there are only 23 left. So maybe by the time you see this video, they are all gone. But they are collector's items, individually numbered, hand-signed by Fernando, and they'll be done at the Australian Grand Prix. And you can pre-order them now at kimillman.com, where you'll also find my F1 photo books, wall art, and a range of merchandise. You'll find my digital images at prostarpics.com. Every photo that I keep from every race, you'll find there. And for my best images live from the track and all during the week, head to Instagram and search at Kim Illman. Thanks for watching.
And stay passionate.
In a fucking hell.